Hi, good morning. Thank you for attending ReadySpace webinar today. And my name is David. Today we are privileged to be able to come and gather together with Parallels to introduce us about the remote access server. Yep. So we have Jerry to talk to us about reducing your IT costs and how to build a mobile workforce. So Jerry, are you able to hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
perfect. Yes, yes.
This is weird. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened just now.
Yeah. So Jerry, please, all to you.
Right. Okay. Hi. I'm sorry for the technical glitch. We were testing just 5 minutes before and it works fine. Don't know why it suddenly doesn't work. Sorry for the delay. Good morning and thank you for joining. David from ReadySpace and Jerry, myself from Parallels, Myman, my marketing director from Parallels as well. I want to talk to you about how to reduce the IT costs in this increasingly mobile world, mainly how to build a mobile workforce without, exponentially increase the IT spending. So before I talk about the product, I actually want to share with you some interesting findings from an IDC survey late last year. This is done for the Asia Pacific region, so I think it's very relevant for our discussion this morning. First of all, they asked their customers in this really mobile world, how do they, those companies, how do they cope with this new world and how they actually take advantage of the new technology to make their sales force more effective and more efficient. So they asked the question whether they have bring your own device policy for the laptops and the mobile devices alike. And the answers are very interesting. We found that especially with those companies they have surveyed, very high percentage of the companies say yes, they do allow their employees to bring their own device. So for laptops, 55% of companies surveyed say they actually allow that. And for mobile devices, as you can imagine, it's even higher. It's 64%. And only 30% of those companies surveyed said that they don't allow any more bring their own device in the mobile device. And about 38% said that they don't allow users, employees use their own laptops for work. So very high percentage of companies actually allow bring their own device. And then the next question they ask is, okay, since you support bring your own device or choose your own device, what are the top challenges that your company as an organization face when you support the bring your own device policy? What they found is this. So at the very top is actually how to secure the data, the contents that are accessible to the mobile devices. It's 32% of the companies say they have concerns or issues with this. And number two is actually how do they support those mobile users with applications. So the application provisioning, management. Number three was the hot topic probably several years back, but now is number three. So device management and support for their employees and also to manage the device. So very interesting finding. It's actually more about how to secure the data once they allow the access. And then the next question is more geo-relevant. They ask the companies that, okay, since you are moving to the more mobile environment, do you still need to support the legacy Windows applications for your users on any peripherals and devices? So very interesting finding. Obviously, will be higher in some countries. The overall average in Asia Pacific is 54% of the companies that they still need to support those legacy applications, Windows applications. So Korea, Greater China has the highest percentage. Singapore is right about the average, so about 43% of companies say that they still need to support a legacy Windows application for those users. So it's still a very high number, meaning when they think about supporting those employees or users on their mobile devices, they still have about half of the applications they need to find a way to support that are built in Windows environments. So the next question is, again, asking, okay, so how do you currently support those corporate applications? So this is not just the legacy Windows application, it's all applications you allow access to your employees, your users. Not surprisingly, the highest is actually local apps, native apps on the device. It's 48% for a very good reason, because usually the native apps or the local apps would be the most responsive in terms of the time to the request, and then also you can build in and you can leverage more multimedia or the features provided by the mobile devices. So much better user experience will actually help attract the attention of the prospective customer that you want to present to, and so on. So the local apps, the highest percentage. And then you see the next one is actually 40% cloud-based applications. So with cloud becoming more pervasive, it's also supporting a lot of the application needs on the mobile devices as well. Our company parallels, as an example, we use Salesforce for CRM. We use the SAP SuccessFactors for HR, and I can access all those from my mobile phone, my iPhone, using their cloud-based hybrid application. So it's a no-brainer. But if you look at number 3 and number 4, surprisingly high, but I think most of these are actually allowing the access to their backend and legacy applications. So with BI, 23%, remote app publishing, 20%. If you add those two up, it's actually 43%. It's actually the second largest method that the company's IT are using to support corporate applications on the mobile devices. So I think that will be, and by the way, this doesn't add up to 100% because, you know, it's a complicated IT environment. They actually use different methods to support all the different needs. So it doesn't add up to 100%. It's just how many companies say they are using one particular method, and they could use 1, 2, or all 4 different methods to support the applications. So the next logical question that IDC asks is, okay, when you are considering the app strategy for the mobile devices, and other than of course, the local app and the cloud app, for the legacy application, for the VDI or app publishing, what are the considerations? What are the top considerations for rolling out those application support? Number 1 is cost, and I think a lot of us know why. If you have look at the two probably right now highest market share solution from VMware and Citrix, the cost is actually pretty high. And then the second highest concern is simplifying the IT operations. So in terms of the initial deployment and then the ongoing maintenance and support, they want to look for a solution that can actually, if not simplifying and streamlining the IT operation, at least don't add extra burden to it. And number 3, reflecting what we have seen just now, is really to secure the data and the content. And then some talk about streamlining the desktop management as well. So again, with that in mind, IDC asks the next question. So when they choose those solutions, choose the vendors, what do they look for in the solutions for the vendor? And this is what they say. Number 1, do they solve the security concerns? Number 2 is the performance and also the flexibility. Does it support multi-platform? You know, is it easy to scale up, scale out, and so on. And then the number 3 is implementation and support cost. Number 4 is very interesting. This should be the slide that I want to talk about, but somehow it flipped. So actually, when they consider the solution, the provider, they actually look for the security skills. And then the number 2 is how to integrate into their legacy system. So if they already have Microsoft RDS installed, could it be built on top of RDS? If they have Citrix already, could they build on top of the Citrix underlying infrastructure and so on? And number 3 is, of course, understanding the business and the industry. And then the next question is what I tried to explain just now. Once they have finalized the solution provider and they want to implement it, what are the biggest challenges they have faced? Number 1 is still the security problem. If the solution doesn't provide a good integration into their existing security environment. Number 2 is what I discussed just now, the performance and flexibility. And then number 3 is the implementation and the support cost. Number 4 is interesting. A lot of those projects failed because of this. The user experience is not good, then the users don't want to use it, and then it failed. So interestingly, this one is actually number 4, very high up on the list of the challenges facing the IT department in those companies. So to summarize, for the companies to cope with the increasingly mobile environment, they look for secure access, because once they allow the mobile devices to access their network, their data, they want to make sure the network is secure, the data is secure. And then they look for the return on investment, obviously lower total cost of ownership, and also to try to extend the lifetime of their existing hardware and try to use as much of their current existing investment in terms of infrastructure, in terms of my business applications. And then, of course, delivery and management for the IT, this is very important because you can save on the cost and budget for initial purchase, but you could spend tons more in maintenance and support for the ongoing operation. So these are the key points from the IDC survey. So before I go into talk about remote working server, I do have a few very successful customer stories from our worldwide customers, and this one is very interesting. Beta is in the business of providing full range of furniture, bedding, appliances, electronics. They have in the United States, they have over 300 locations in 8 states. They use the Citrix Zen app. The reason they switched to remote working server, our product, is because of the high quality cross-platform support, because they have different devices that the employees are using for business, and they need a better way to support those. And when they look at remote working server, this is exactly what they are looking for. So it's delivered to over 1,400 employees in the 300 locations. Parallels provided multi-platform support and also simplify the infrastructure management with the central console. Godiva, everybody knows this chocolate company. They have over 600 retail stores, over 40,000 point of sales, and in more than 100 countries in the world. They used Microsoft RDS to deliver applications before switching to remote work.
Okay.
We are back, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So sorry about that.
Right. Sorry, I didn't touch anything. I don't know what happened. Godiva, they actually switched to remote application server because they, before that they have to update applications on each machine, even though they are using the RDS. So with remote application server, they only need to update the application on the server, and then it will be every user will be accessing the same application. So to them, to the IT department, that's a lot of saving on their support cost and also much easier to maintain. The next one is also an interesting one. This is a hospital. They a mid-sized hospital. They have 200 beds. The reason they switched to Parallels, before that they didn't use a remote application server. They use a VPN, and so it's a lot more technical for many of their users. When they see remote application server, they love what they see. It's very easy to deploy, easy to manage, and the number one benefit is actually having the ability to provide access to selected applications based on the user group needs, because remote application server actually integrate with Microsoft Active Directory. So to them, it's so much easier for them to deploy the applications based on the user groups set up already. So different customers look for different usage model, and they appreciate the different features we provide in our product. So in a nutshell, what's remote application server from Parallels? It's remote application and desktop delivery to any devices. And when I said that, I mean it, because we have clients for Windows, for Mac OS, and for iOS and Android, of course, but we also have clients for Chromebook, even Raspberry Pi, and some of the mainstream Linux distribution as well. So I think we basically cover all the mainstream devices that could be used in the modern day business. And we do support remote application publishing. We also support VDI. So depending on the needs of a different group of employees, you can have the mixed environment set up on remote application server for your company, for your users. So this is probably clearer. It does support application publishing. We also support VDI or desktop publishing. And we also built in the load balance, high availability load balancing in the product as well. It's meaning that when you have the remote application server, when your end users connect to the remote application server, if you have installed the load balancing server, it would automatically direct the user traffic to the lowest loading server or based on the rules you define. And then it also provides a peripheral redirection for printers and scanners. Imagine you are using iPhone or iPad to do your business, and then you need to print out something. Right now, most likely, if you have AirPrint enabled printer, you can probably use a link directly. If you don't have that, you have network printers. Usually, you have to send through email to your other account and then use a PC or Mac to print it out for you. But with remote application server, you can directly print it out from your iPhone or iPad or Android tablet without any issue. Just choose the printer driver provided by remote application server client. It will be done for you. And then the reporting for the IT department, for management, for monitoring the usage and so on. And by the way, I haven't mentioned it yet, but our licensing model is very simple. It's based on concurrent user. You don't need to pay any extra for all the functions and features that I have mentioned here. So you can have 1,000 employees, and you think that maximum would be 100 concurrent users that need to connect to the remote application server. Doesn't matter they are using iPhone, iPad, Mac, Windows, or Android devices. They can just use the specific client with their user credential, they can connect to the server as long as it's not exceeding 100 users. You don't need to plan for mobile support. You don't need to plan for, what kind of devices and so on. You don't need to plan for load balancing. It's all included, and it's one licensing price. So very easy to plan for your deployment. It's very easy to plan your budget. You don't have any hidden costs here. And because of the architecture, it's also cloud ready, so you can implement it on-premise if you have very sensitive or confidential data. You want to make sure it's on-premise, you can do that. If you are moving to cloud or hybrid cloud, it's supported 100%. You can have your application and remote server installed on AWS, Amazon, on Microsoft Azure. If you have branches operating in China, you can also implement it on Ali Cloud from Alibaba. And on top of all the specific operating system clients that I mentioned just now, if your users are, say, for example, a short-term project team, and they only need access for 3 months or even 2 weeks, you don't want to bother them with installing the client and then remove the application. They can actually, as long as they have a browser that supports HTML5, they can use our HTML5 client and use the browser to get access to remote server. So again, the flexibility is very, very advantageous for our users. So a very simple top-level architecture view of the remote server. Users use the different clients on the different operating systems through internet, through the network, will be connected to the high availability load balancer first, and then the load balancer would redirect or route the traffic to the lower loading secure client gateway, and the client gateway actually linked to the backend, the terminal server agent. This is the agent that actually publish the desktop or the application, and so your application will be installed on the same server here as well. So a very simple high-level look. The underlying infrastructure could be the Microsoft Hyper-V, it could be the Citrix or VMware underlying infrastructure. So again, the flexibility of implementation is very advantageous to our customers. So that's a very quick look on the product. If you have any questions, we can answer that in our Q&A, or we can, if you are really interested, we can even set up the POC for you through ReadySpace. But we are more than happy to answer all the questions that you have. And this one is actually IDC's report late 2016. They study the VDI, the virtual client computing solution providers on the market, and they actually give them a ranking. As you can see here, VMware in terms of technology leadership is number 1. The size of the bubble actually is the market share. So Citrix has the highest market share. Microsoft, of course, because of the Windows environment, they are the number 3. But I want you to look at our parallels. Remote server here, we are positioned right in terms of technology leadership, right there with Microsoft only behind VMware and Citrix, and they love actually the simplicity and also the cross-platform support that we provided. So just want to show this to you. This one, I actually want to show you a video clip, but this platform doesn't support it. So
okay, actually I've got it. I've got it.
Okay,
yeah.
so you can play that for the audience now.
Okay, So I'm going to play this 3-minute video.
Yep. So this is the remote client on iPad. So I want you to see how easy and how good user.
Oh, it's actually Android for this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's similar, right?
Oh, yeah, similar. That's right.
Okay.
You have the right. So this is what I was talking about. The user experience on our mobile clients are much better than most of the existing solutions. One thing that Victor didn't show is that the keyboard, we actually customized the keyboard on top of the iOS or Android keyboard. So a lot of the legacy Windows applications like ERP use the function keys. So the iOS or Android keyboard obviously doesn't have the function key. So we actually customize it, and we can use the function key for the particular applications as well on our mobile account. So again, make your legacy Windows applications more accessible with much better user experience on your mobile devices. So with that, I think I conclude my short presentation. We would open the floor for questions. Any questions you have, it's a good time to ask now. David?
Yep. Okay. So if any one of you has any questions, you can just key into the chat box in your window, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Yeah, maybe I'll start with the questions.
Sure. Okay.
So, how would ReadySpace come into the picture? Because you mentioned about Azure and AWS. Yeah, so I'll answer the question myself, right?
Sure.
So, basically, at ReadySpace, we have already integrated REST onto the platform. So, unlike when you use other platforms, you will need to still have to install REST yourself and deploy it yourself. But at ReadySpace, we have done it for you so that you do not have to do more. And our team are able to get it up and fast running for you quicker. And on top of that, we are able to support REST itself, which takes away the heavy lifting of your team. Yeah. So that's why you need ReadySpace.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit of explanation. So ReadySpace is what we call our service provider partner. So they integrate a RAS into their service offering. So when you use a ReadySpace service and you need the access that we show you just now, you don't need to install the remote account server yourself. You just subscribe to ReadySpace service, then you get it, right?
Yep, that's right. Okay, so we have a question here. Is there a minimum user requirement?
Well, that will be depending on ReadySpace. Unless you are talking about on-premise installation, then yes, we have a minimum 15 licenses because we do need to provide the technical support for the product. So we have a 15 license support, minimum requirement. But if you are subscribing to ReadySpace, I think that will be up to ReadySpace.
It's 5.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Do you support all verticals?
Yes. In fact, I do have other customer success stories that we have, seen in different vertical industries. So depending on your vertical industry, we can share with you what the other customers are doing in, say, for example, manufacturing, in retail, in hospitality. So we are more than happy to share the customer experience and story.
Okay, we have someone here who is asking about more on retail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
Right. Okay. So I think, David, through you, we can send the customer story. If they want to discuss,
okay.
We can also have a follow-up. Yeah, probably not easy to answer right now.
Sure. Okay, next questions. Are there any specific apps that are supported, or every app are supported on Windows?
So as long as your application runs on the server, it's supported. So any application that you can run from your Windows server, it will be supported.
Okay, what is the most used or common application?
Well, it depends. It really depends. But I would think, depending on the industry, we do see ERP in many companies, and then we see a lot of custom built, internal developed applications. So I couldn't really give you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
By the way, today, because our subject is build a mobile workforce, so I spend more time talking about the mobile. But in fact, some of our customers, they use a remote server because they want to extend the life cycle of their old computer hardware. Old PC, old Macs. It still runs okay, but it probably doesn't have the computing power to support the current application. But they do have that at the backend servers, and so with a remote server, they can just publish it to their older desktop PCs or Macs and extend the hardware lifetime. So in doing that, save a lot of cost.
Okay. Sorry, Jerry, we have a question here.
Right.
Is the native hardware of a mobile, like for example Android, is REST able to, for example, take a picture from the camera, and are they interoperable?
Okay, obviously not from the legacy application, but your device feature and functions are still there. So say if you want to, I'm not really sure I understand the question here. If you're asking whether I can, say for example, take a screenshot of Android phone and attach to Excel or Word document. I haven't tried that myself. Let me try, and then I can get back to you.
Okay, I have to get back to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so I guess thank you very much everybody for attending today's webinar. The webinar will be available online, and we hope that you have had a great session with us. If you have any more questions, please feel free to contact us at info@readyspace.com, or simply just come to our website and have a chat with us. Yeah. All right. So thank you very much. We'll see you again at our next webinar.
Thank you very much. Thank you, David.
Yep. Thank you.